Now, I want to read out description given by Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa on the Kundalini and its connection to the chakras, which are described in the Saundarya Lahari. So, images are yantras as well as vigrahas, that you should remember. Vigrahas can also be yantras. Now, as one practices the mantra, which is given to one with the bijaksharas, and as one does all the purifying necessary for the mind and the body, and as one chants the mantra as required, one fixes one attention on the yantra and then transfers it mentally into yourself and fixes it with the different chakras which are inside, with devotion, with bhakti and bhava. The energy begins to activate itself slowly. After reaching here and enjoying what is called the Rasamnaya Mahasha, the nectarine radiance of the moon, which is the Ananda Lahiri, one is in Samadhi, but it doesn't remain there always, it comes down. So from the Sahasrara, it descends again to the Muladhara and then is identified with other things. Now, first I will read what Swami Vivekananda describes about the Kundalini in Raj Yoga. This is the subject matter of Saundarya Lahari actually. He says, now the center where all the residual sensations, which means whatever we have, karmas and everything, as it were, is called the Mooladhara, the root receptacle, and coiled up energy of action is Kundalini, the coiled up. Only in the case of those whose minds have been erased of all impressions, that the Kundalini remains in complete absorption in Shiva, in the Sahasrara, and the Samadhi remains spontaneous and continuous. This is probably why Sri Ramakrishna, whose mind was free from all desires, was naturally tending towards Samadhi. So, when all impressions are erased, then it remains in complete absorption, otherwise it will come down. That is probably why Sri Ramakrishna, whose mind was free from all desires, was naturally tending towards Samadhi and created artificial desires. Like, I want to see so and so, I want to eat such and such a thing. It was to bring down, because it is always in order that they might exercise a downward pull on the Kundalini. But for us, normal people, it should be towards, I don't want to eat this, I don't want to see somebody, because we have to go up. For him it was, I want to eat, I don't want to see, so keep down, pull down. Regarding this subject of rousing of the Kundalini and her descent, we will quote Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. He says, yoga is not possible if the mind dwells on Kamini and Kanchana, lust and gold. The mind of a worldly man generally moves among the lower centers, those at the navel. This is the Manipura chakra. At the next, which is Swadhisthana, and then the Mooladhara. Normally, this is where it moves. After great effort and spiritual practice, the Kundalini is awakened. According to the yogi, there are three nadis in the spinal column: the Ida, the Pingala, and the Shushumna in the middle. Along the Shushumna are the centers, which are called the Padmas, the lotuses, which are all described in the Saundarya Lahari. Each one is described. Then, that is coming from Mooladhara, Swadhisthana, Manipura, Anahata, Vishuddha, Ajna and Sahasrara. These are the centers. So, the awakened Kundalini passes through the lower centers, comes to the Anahata, which is at the heart level. It stays there for some time. At that time, the mind of the aspirant is withdrawn from the three lower centers. He feels the awakening of divine consciousness. In mute wonder, he sees that radiance and cries out, "What is this? What is this?" After passing through the six centers, it reaches the 1,000-petal lotus known as the Sahasra, and the aspirant goes into Samadhi. According to the Vedas, this is Sri Ramakrishna's quotation. According to the Vedas, these centers are called bhumis or plains. There are 7 such plains, and so on and so forth. Then he says, And last of all is the seventh plane, which according to the Tantra is the center of the thousand petaled lotus called the Sahasrara Chakra. When the Kundalini arrives there, the aspirant goes into Samadhi. In that lotus dwells Satchidananda, Shiva, the Absolute. There they become one. This is known as the union of Shiva and Shakti. This is how it starts, Shiva Shaktya Yukto Yadi. In that state, the life force lingers for some time and then passes out. But Ishvara Kotis, such as incarnations, can come down from that state of Samadhi. They can come down from this exalted state because they like to live in the company of devotees and enjoy the love of God. God retains in them the ego of knowledge so that they may teach men. Their minds move between the sixth and the seventh planes. Then he says, his own experience. Sometimes the current moves through the spine crawling like an ant. Sometimes in Samadhi the soul swims in joyfully in the ocean of ecstasy like a fish. Sometimes like a monkey. That current suddenly jumps from one to the other and reaches the Sahasrara. Sometimes again the spiritual current rises like a bird hopping from one branch to another. Sometimes it moves up like a snake going in a zigzag way. At last it reaches the head and one goes into Samadhi. Please remember, that does not mean that there is one snake moving inside. It moves like a snake. Snake is only a symbol because it is shown as coiled up. In ancient times, the symbol of time, Kala, and also the symbol of coiled up energy was represented by a snake. Now you can say it's like the spring of a hand-wound watch. Then it opens up. Now this is the subject matter basically of the Saundari Lahari which you are chanting. So apart from chanting, if one also chants and knows which chakra is described where and fixes them on the chakra and chants, you are unknowingly and unconsciously chanting the Sri Vidya. Panchadashakshari first and then the 16th letter, which is of course Shri, will also come in the end. Now, some slokas. The first sloka, of course, is Shiva Shaktya Yukto Yadi Bhavati Shaktaha Prabhavitum Na Chedevam Devo Na Khalu Kushalaha Spanditumapi Atastva Maradhyam Harihara Virinjati Bhirapi Pranantum Stotum Kathama Kridha Punyaha Prabhavati. This is the first sloka. Translated, it means united with Shakti, Shiva is endowed with the power to create the universe. Till then, he is in Sada Shiva state, without movement. When that happens, there is a slight movement and then creation starts. Otherwise, he is incapable of movement. Therefore, who except those endowed with great merits, acquired in the past, can be fortunate enough to adore or praise the Mother Divine, who are adored even by Hari, Hara and Virinji. So, first time itself he says, in the silent state there is Shiva resting. Then there is the movement of Shakti. As soon as that happens, then the whole universe comes out of the Bindu and spreads around. Such a being who but people who have been blessed for thousands of lives can even utter praise for you, who is praised by Hara, Hari and Virinji. This is how it starts. The main point to note, according to Lakshmidhara, is the first sentence, Shiva Shaktya Yukto Yati. That is, together they always are. Now you will see that the first half, the two first sentences, Shiva Shaktya Yukto Yadi, ending in Spanditumapi. If you count, there will be 16 words only there. And these 16 words are supposed to represent the Swadashakshari. Of the 16 letters, hidden and worked out in different ways in this sloka. Then, second sloka is again a praise of the Devi. How even a dust collected from thy feet is enough to bring about the whole of creation and so on. The next sloka describes Mother Devi as love, as pure love. And the fourth, it's the graciousness of the mother. Tvadanyaha panibhyam abhayavarado devata ganaha tvamekanevasi prakatita varabhitya abhinaya bhayatratum ratum phalamapi chavancha samadhikam saranye lokanam tavahi charana eva nipano. All deities other than thee bestow boons and give shelter from fear by the pose of their hands. You alone are not given to such external demonstration of boons and shelter. Refuge of all, thy very feet are themselves inherently capable of sheltering devotees from the great fear of samsara and giving them much more than what they pray for. Next one describes Devi as the source of fascination, fascinating attraction. Aristvam aradhyam pranata jana saubhagya jananim pura nari bhutva puraripum apikshobham manyat smaropi tvam natva ratinayana lehyena vapusha muninam api antaha prabhavati mohaya mahatam. Adoring thee, who are the bestower of prosperity and all thy devotees, Hari, Vishnu, was able to become a charming female and stir waves of passion in the minds of no less than Hara, the destroyer of the three cities, and Smara, which is Cupid, the god of love, through thy adoration got a form, a veritable feast for the eyes of his consort Rati, with which he has become capable of causing deep infatuation even in the minds of sages. Here, Shakti is described as fascinating. In fact, this is one of the mantras used for Vaishya. In Shiva Panchakshara, there are descriptions of how to use them. Use the mantra for Akarshana, Mohana, Vashya, Vedana, Uchchadana and Marana. So among them, this is the Vashya mantra, Akarshana. So all this, please understand, is completely to do with the energy which is hiding in the Muladhara and which has to be raised up. And when we do Kriya, what we do is basically to clean the Shushumna Nadi, the channel through which the energy, when it arises, can arise without any obstacle. It may not necessarily arise immediately, but it is clean. So therefore, when it arises, there is no obstacle. And so on. These are all different descriptions. Then came the description of the form, which I already said. Kunat Kanchi Dama. Then there is a description of how she is worshipped in the yantra of Sri Chakra. This is the 8th sloka. Sudha Sindor Madhye Suravita Pivati Parivrite. That one. Which means, fortunate are indeed a few who adore thee, of bliss and consciousness, as abiding on a mattress, that is Paramashiva, spread on a couch, which too is an aspect of Shiva, placed in the chamber of wish-yielding gems, Chintamani, amidst a Nipa, pleasure garden, in the Manidvipa, island of gems, which is situated in the nectar ocean and fringed by rows of celestial kalpakata. This is actually a description of the Shri Yantra, where Devi is the Bindu. Then, after describing the outward, the 9th sloka, there is a description of internal worship of the same Devata who is worshipped outside in the Sri Yantra form. This is Mahim Mooladhare Kamapi Manipure Utavaham Stitam Swadhisthane Hridi Marutam Akashamupari Manopi Bhrumadhye Sakalam Api Bhitva Kulapatham Sahasrare Padme Saharahasya Patya Viharase. That means after doing the worship in the outside yantra, They are transferring the yantra into the Dahara Akasha, which is within the heart, and then describing having penetrated the Prithvi, which is the earth element, situated in the Muladhara, Jala, water element in the Manipura, actually it is the Swadhisthana, and the Agni, fire element, is actually something is wrong in this. Actually, it should be Prithvi, Apas, then Agni. Then from Agni, Vayu. Then from Vayu, Akasha. Then from Akasha to the higher levels, which we cannot describe in words. So he is saying all these elements above the form in the Vishuddha and the Manas in the Ajna between the eyebrows, thou ascending through the Shushumna. Now this Shushumna is also called the Kula. Kula means the Kula path, which is why those who practice it are also called Kaulas. Do you know that in Kashmir there was a great deal of practice of Vamachara at one time, Kaulachara. So now Kaula here, Shankaracharya says, could also mean Samaya Marga if you take Kaula to be the Shushumna. But here we are talking about the other Kaulas. Ascending through the Shushumna or the Kula path, you sport with your consort in the solitude of Sahasrara Chakra, the 1000-petal lotus. So when you are reading, what wonderful thing you are actually reading. Simply you read on, one doesn't know what is happening, but it's good. That's good enough. In it, many sounds are built in, even while you read without knowing the meaning. But what I'm trying to say is what you are reading and chanting is so sacred. It's a complete description of the process of arousing the mind from the lower state and letting it ascend to the highest, where Shakti and Shiva become one. And what you experience is the ecstasy of that joining together. It's not merely something to simply read. Then the descent is described. Ascent is described in the 9th, and descent is described in the 10th. Then of course there is a description of the Sri Chakra. How the Sri Chakra is made. Chaturvi, Sri Kanteha, Shiva Yuvatibhi, Panchabhirapi. These are all descriptions of the different approaches, the 4 sides, the inner petals, the circles, and finally the mansion of 44 konas. Actually it's only 43 triangles, but they are adding the bindu also along with that to make 44 konas. Then the beauty of Tripura Sundari is described, and so on and so forth. Now in 33 sloka there is one description which begins with Smaram Yonim Lakshmim Tritayam Midam Madhav Tava Manor. Now that description is based on people who worship the Devi and also the Sri Yantra for the fulfillment of their worldly desires. So they chant the mantras and the bija syllables of Kamaraja, which is Kleem, and Bhuvaneshwari, which is Hreem, and Shri, which is Shreem. That is not written here, I am just saying. What they are saying is, you are worshipping all the 3 devatas with the bijaksharas of Kleem for Kamaraja, Bhuvaneshwari for Hreem, and Shreem for Sri Devi, and adored with a necklace of Chintamani. We worship thee with oblations consisting of streams of ghee in the purified fire of Shiva. This is done by people who want wealth, worldly enjoyments and wealth. That is also described. But you must understand that the basic understanding, the basic thing is to ascend above ordinary things and reach the highest. This is the aim of Saundarya Lahari. Then the last sloka, which starts with Nidhe Nityasmare. Nidhe Nityasmare Niravadhi Gune Niti Nipune Niragatha Anjane Niyamapara Chitteika Nilaye Niyataya Nirmukte Nikhila Nigamantastutapade Nirantake Nitya Nigamaya Mamapi Stutim Mimam. It ends here. O my treasure, O goddess with an ever smiling face, O center of infinite excellences, O expert in doing what is right and just, O source of unfailing wisdom, O the sole resort of men with well-controlled minds. Note, well-controlled minds. So it cannot be describing any orgies, please. O freedom's heaven, O the object of all the Vedas, O faultless one, O eternal being, deign to sanctify this my hymn of praise. And it ends there. So this is the Saundarya Lahari which you are chanting regularly. So when you do it with great respect. Read it properly. After reading, don't throw it. When you take it and keep it properly. Because it contains the entire movement of the soul from the lower level to the highest level, which can be done through practicing the worship of Sri Yantra and worship of the Sri Yantra here, of which Mooladhara is the base and Bindu is the Sahasrara. This much only we can say at the moment. Beyond this, it is for one to study and understand and move forward. And perhaps when one is ready, one can take the Sri Vidya, for which of course the opening point is the Bala Tripura Sundari of Aim, Kalim and so. From there we have to proceed. I am not such a capable person for this, but maybe, I don't know.
So anybody can read it?
Anybody can read it. Anybody can read it with understanding. Only thing is, if this understanding is not there, one might misinterpret the Saundarya Lahari to mean only lower things and not the higher. That's the only thing. Otherwise, there is nothing. So all the yama niyamas which are to be followed in the practice of Ashtanga Yoga have also to be followed here. Without which one cannot practice it. Without which, if you practice, it will not work, because there are some safety arrangements in this system, so that unless a person is like this, it will not work. Otherwise, everybody will. You are touching infinite energy. What will happen if selfish people catch hold of infinite energy? What will happen? So there are some, what is it called? There is safety, regulators are there, and the regulators are basically yama niyamas. When the mind gets purified, then one is able to do it. Otherwise, one cannot. In some cases, there are cases of people who have got into it and then through temptation fallen back, and have used it for bad purposes sometimes. But they will come back to it. They will have to go through a lot of difficulties before they come back to it. They are worse than people who have never attempted. And the Tantra is not only meant for sannyasins. This whole Shastra is meant for householders also. Of course, there are sannyasins. For instance, today, the place where Sri Vidya is initiated, one place is the Sringeri Matha, where the acharyas are authorized to initiate into Sri Vidya, but they are sannyasins. They can initiate householders into Sri Vidya. There are other centers also where Sri Vidya is given. I learnt from Sri Maheshwarnath Babaji, and before that Sri Guru, the Panchadashakshari and the Sudashakshari. But I personally try as far as possible to stay with Bala and not give the Sri Vidya to. In fact, the Bijaksharas of the Panchadashakshari can be found in Lalita Sahasranam. A little bit of lens. But you should know how to chant it, where to place it, and the matras. Matra meaning the time. If you get 15 letters, where would you place it? It's not simply for chant. Internally you have to place it in certain chakras, and then only chant it. And then when you chant it, you should know the matras from which you have to chant. I mean the time. For instance, all the Panchadashakshari Bijaksharas, Mala, Mantra Mala, ends with Hrim. So when you say Hrim, that Hrim has to be 3 times the time required for chanting the other Bijaksharas. So Hreem is usually chanted as He, others are fast, and the last one like that, something like that. Beyond that I cannot tell you. This is a public place. We can discuss. So thank you.
So, if only the Bijaksharas in the first Srisakya, we can't chant the whole thing. Is it okay to chant the first one? Just short. We could regulate.
I would suggest. Her question is, she's saying if all the Bijaksharas of Sri Vidya are hidden in the first slokas, so why should we chant? Can we chant just that, or should we chant the whole thing? Now, don't get lazy.
No, that's side effect. No time to chant the entire thing. Just a few slokas.
If you want to chant few slokas, my suggestion, it may different people may give different. From my point of view, chant the first sloka, chant the second sloka, chant Konat Kanchi Dama, chant Bhavani Tvam Dasya. This Bhavani Tvam Dasya is a very beautiful description in the Saundari Lahiri. He says that even before I say Tvam, before saying please help me, when I say Tvam, already your grace has descended. And the Bijakshara of Bhavani Tvam Dasya is the last Bijakshara that appears in the Sri Vidya regularly, which is Hreem. And the yantra is the Bhavani yantra. Just like Sri Yantra, actually each sloka has its own yantra, which of course is not given in all these books.
These four are. What was the Todanya Panibhyam?
Todanya Panibhyam Bhayavarato Devata Gana. That was it.
Japo Jalpaha.
Japo Jalpaha also. That's why I said you can chant, but these 3, 4 if you chant, that is good enough. But whenever you get time, please chant the whole thing. Don't think because now I have got a shortcut. Everybody looking for shortcuts. So don't think like that.
Both Lalita Sahasranamam and Saundari Lahiri can be chanted.
So Lalita Sahasranama also should be chanted. Lalita is none other than Rajarajeshwari, Mahatripura Sundari. Bala is looking at Shakti as a small child. That's all. It's your vision, how you look at it. So basically it's a Shakta tradition. The approach to Shiva through Shakti.
How often should the Lalita Sahasranamam and Saundari?
If you have time, chant every day. How long does it take? Once you by heart it, some men have also started chanting that. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.